So in this video, I'm going to cover some basic fundamental map design principles. And so the focus is going to be on typical map design, identifying common mistakes, and demonstrating how to make effective improvements for better readability, clarity, and presentation. So this map represents a typical map from somebody who's just starting out in GIS. And many common beginner maps kind of issues arise from relying on default software settings from ArcGIS Pro or lack the cartographic knowledge. Some adjustments can greatly enhance the readability and effectiveness of this map. So for example, some of the issues that we'll talk about here is one of them is the map title, which in this case is too vague. So the title population density lacks important details such as the time frame of the data and why only the lower 48 states are shown, and kind of excluding Alaska and Hawaii. Additionally, the title is slightly off center and would be better positioned at the top to improve readability. So to fix this, the title should be provided more context, be centered, and clearly describe the map's purpose. All maps should be built with a purpose in mind. Another issue is the north arrow, which is far too large and draws unnecessary attention. And this is a common mistake that people make. They just make the north arrow too big. I'm not sure if they feel like they need to fill up the area or they just take the default settings, but it should not draw so much attention. So for maps of kind of familiar regions also like the United States, a north arrow is often not necessary since most viewers already know the standard orientation. If included, it should be significantly smaller and placed unobtrusively. So in some cases, removing the north arrow entirely might be the best option, which we'll talk about later. Making these small but meaningful changes can improve the overall clarity and the professionalism of the map. So the next is the map data, or the metadata on the map has two main issues. First, the text is too large, making it more prominent than necessary. So we kind of have Sears quite big here. Reducing the font size will help to make it less obtrusive. Second is the data source is listed as ESRI. All base maps include the base map source credit. This was probably edited just for ESRI. I don't think that's necessarily too bad, but sometimes you might have a little bit more text for that. So maybe a little bit more detail in the citation is fine. The scale bar also has multiple problems. One of them represents distance in decimal degrees, which is not a practical unit of measurement on a map. And the reason why it's using decimal degrees, as we'll find out, is because the data is not projected. Instead, a more intuitive unit should be used, something like kilometers or miles or meters should be used. Additionally, the scale bar division at the end points are not meaningful and easy to read numbers. You can see it ends at 32 or 2,840. So instead of ending at 32, it should end at 30. Or this one should end at 2,000. So another kind of common mistake is it'll end in a fraction. For example, 30.2, or depending on the scale bar size, 0.4, 0.5. It should always kind of end in a rounded up number. And also the scale bars are too wide and too tall, making them overly dominant on the map. So reducing the size will ensure that they remain useful without distracting from the main content. Since scale bars are not the focus of the map, they should be de-emphasized to maintain more of a balance. As you can see here, that's overpowering. You can even make the black bars here a lighter gray, so they're just not so important on the map. The next thing is the legend should not be titled legend. You don't need to include a legend on your map, or the title legend on there, as a map reader already kind of understands its purpose. Instead, use this space for kind of a descriptive title related to the data, such as persons per square mile for the population density. And next, the current legend includes column names from attribute tables like pop07_SQMI, which are not meaningful to the average map reader. Additionally, underscores, for example, between the 7 and the S, should be removed from layer names for better readability. So never ever should your maps have underscores in the layer names. Also, formatting should be more consistent, ensuring terms like counties, as we can see here below legend, the county starts with a lowercase c, but the population starts with a capital P, and down below Canada starts with a capital C, ocean starts with a capital O. There should be some kind of uniformity. Everything should start with a capital letter. Furthermore, the number of formatting in the legend is inconsistent with varying decimal places, and since the data represents population density, rounding to the nearest whole number would be more appropriate for reading and accuracy. And then some elements in the legend are unnecessary, including references to Canada and Mexico backgrounds and the ocean backgrounds. These features are already well understood by the reader or the viewer and don't need to be included in the legend. Additionally, the symbol used for the ocean background blends too closely with the actual map's background, making it appear as if there's no legend entry for the ocean at all. So removing unnecessary elements and improving clarity in the labeling and formatting will enhance the readability and effectiveness of the map. And the overall map layout could be improved by better centering the United States, enlarging it to fill the space of the paper, reducing this kind of white space, which is kind of the outer bounds, and also kind of having just the southern tip of Alaska show, which looks sloppy and is confusing. So again, enlarging the contiguous United States would remove this unnecessary partial view of Alaska. And some map features may not be necessary, such as the roads and rivers, which add clutter to a population density. The road color is also too similar to the density population areas, making it kind of hard to differentiate between the features. Additionally, small counties may be completely covered by the roads, creating a misleading impression of population density. And next, the map projection is unclear, as the northern boundary between the United States and Canada is flat, and this is always a dead giveaway that the map is not projected, suggesting that no particular projection has been applied to this map. Since the map displays population per square mile, an equal area projection should be used to ensure accurate density representations. The inclusion of Canada and Mexico, but not South America in the base map is inconsistent. If surrounding countries are included, all relevant ones should be shown for completeness. And lastly, the map lacks a neat line, which helps frame the contents of the map and makes things stand out from the background. So adding a neat line would improve the overall presentation. Kind of ties everything in, doesn't feel like the legend is going to slip off the page or the scale bar would slip off the page. It ties everything nice and neatly together. So here is just kind of a mocked up view of what we just discussed about the population density, Alaska, kind of get rid of the legend, the counties. So this is just kind of what we just kind of covered, but just kind of written up. And here is the map that's been kind of been tuned up. It's been made a little bit nicer. So as you can see, the title has been improved to be more descriptive. Now we're talking about population density, and we know the year is 2007. You might not even need to put the word year because we know 2007 is the year. Again, down below in the subtitles, contiguous United States. So Alaska is gone, Hawaii is gone. We'll also notice that it's now projected. No longer is the border between Canada and the United States straight line. It's using an equal area projection, which ensures accurate comparisons between counties. Additionally, roads have been removed, allowing the counties to remain the main focus without unnecessary visual distractions. The scale bar has been significantly reduced in size and now uses rounded numbers for easier interpretation. The north arrow has been downsized and repositioned, making it less dominant while maintaining kind of functionality. However, since this is an equal area projection, the north position varies on this map at different locations. So a north arrow is actually not accurate to have on this map. So we should remove the north arrow, since north is not always straight up depending on where you are on an equal areas projection map. The metadata has now been more descriptive and appropriate size for readability. The legend has also been resized and given a descriptive title, ensuring better clarity. The numbers in the legend are now formatted consistently with respect to decimal places. And finally, a neat line has been added, and it kind of creates a clean frame that enhances the overall presentation, kind of ties everything together. So even after this redesign, a few issues remain. The metadata is placed on top of the background data, making it difficult to read. Additionally, the scale bars are positioned partly over Mexico, which may not be ideal. And also the rivers are still included. And probably the rivers are not important, right? This map, the main purpose is, what is the population density for counties in the contiguous United States? We don't really care about rivers, so we would probably want to get rid of the rivers altogether. So despite these kind of issues, the map is significantly improved from being difficult to read and visually unappealing to a more well-designed, clear, and aesthetically pleasing map. And the cartographic design process is iterative, meaning maps should be refined multiple times to improve the clarity and effectiveness. And seeking feedback from friends, from family, from me, from your colleagues, even those without cartographic experience, can help improve the visual insight. So as you become more kind of recognized with poor designs, good designs, you'll become a better cartographer. So here's two maps that were done in one of my GIS classes. And it's the same project, but just two different people. First thing let's notice is this is sea level inundation in Humboldt County. Notice the data though. It's more oriented north to south. So you want to have a portrait view layout. This uses landscape, which isn't appropriate because you have all this space going east over the land that's really not important. So you could actually then make the map portrait, and then you can zoom more into the data. This map over here is nice. It kind of tells you the title, sea level rise. The map on the left, that is 10 meters. It looks nice. It uses blue, which everybody associates with water. We notice that it's in meters. So depends on what you want to emphasize here. With being darker blue for 1 meter, seems to put more emphasis on the 1 meter being more important as opposed to 10 meter, but that might be just a personal style. Notice the scale bar down in the bottom left is nice and small. The north arrow is up in the upper right. I might have put that down below, right above the scale bar. The map on the right, this title is on the bottom. It's not bold enough. It doesn't stand out. You don't really see it. So if you do want to put the title at the bottom, it should be a bigger font, bolder font. Also, in the legend, red going from yellow to red, most people are not going to associate that with water. I would maybe more associate that with hot weather or fire or something like that, burn areas. You also don't need to say meter rise in the legend. You could have just included inundation levels and then meters, and then you can just put 1 meter, so forth. Also notice the north arrow and scale bar are kind of floating off in the middle of nowhere on the right hand side. Those could have been repositioned somewhere else together and made a dark black, maybe kind of make it a lighter gray so it's not so prominent. So you can kind of compare these two maps and see how they can improve. And that's kind of what you're going to learn as you start building more and more maps. And the more practice you get at looking at other maps, reviewing your maps, coming back to them, you will improve.